All right. Welcome, everybody. I am Robin Schwartz. I am the Program and Grant Director of the Community Arts Partnership of Tompkins County. And if you will be on our mailing list if you signed up for this event, most of you here already are. But if you're not, we have a sign up in the back. I just want to make a quick plug for this exhibit. This is Yen Ospina's curated BIPOC exhibit. Definitely take a look before you leave. And the next event in this space is our Capapalooza art sale. And that is our fundraiser. We made $14,000 last year. And we collect used art, not new art. We don't want art from existing artists unless it's stuff that's in your closets and basements because it's so old that you don't actually want to sell it anymore. But generally we're asking for the stuff your parents downsized into your house, the gifts you got that you never liked, the needle points your Aunt Emma made in 1976. We collect it all in this room from December 2nd to the 4th. And then on December 6th, which is gallery night, we open the doors and try to sell everything in the room over 9 days. So it's really fun. And I have a couple more volunteer slots if anyone thinks it would be fun to help out. So, I don't even know if I'm I'm moving to make sure I'm in the tape. So after I introduce our panel, we're going to dive right in. We've got a ton of info we'd love to cover. If you could hold questions until the end, that would be great. Anna Warfield is a visual artist based in Binghamton and is experienced in crowdfunding and marketing through her work as an executive team member with Luma Projection Arts Festival in Binghamton and her own donor-sponsored creative endeavors. Mickey Quinn is a graphic artist, illustrator, local event producer, and MC, and communications manager at the Park School of Communications at Ithaca College. She knows how to get the job done with just the right amount of flair and fun. I didn't realize that rhymed until I read it. Sir Kenneth McLaurin is part of the CAP team, helps with marketing and social media. He is a comedian and local event producer. One website you can check out is comedyonthecommons.com. And that's our panel. So I thought I'd start with, what is marketing anyway? Marketing is the process or technique of promoting, selling, or distributing a service, a product or service, making people aware of what you have to offer as artists. And that awareness can be sales intent, or have an intention of selling, or it can simply be letting the world know about your work in case they want to see it or provide you with an opportunity. Marketing can include social media, but also mailing and email lists, websites, selling sites, arts ads, arts calendars. And in this workshop, we're going to talk about defining our audience, traditional marketing recommendations, social media best practices, hot tips, creating a shareable event invitation, networking and connections and how important that is, and more. In terms of anything technology-based like social media, we won't cover the how-tos like click here and then click here because it changes every day anyway. And you really have to know to utilize anything, any program, any platform. You need to just know how to Google and watch tutorials. Because if you have a question, there are thousands of other people in the world who've had the exact same question. So rather, this is going to give you a broad context of best practices. So we're going to jump in with some questions. The first one up, we're going to talk about, and Mickey's going to lead off on this one, defining your audience. Who are you trying to reach? Developing a campaign strategy to generate excitement and rational buy-in from your audience. So that seems like a good place to start.
All right. Hi, everyone. So there's, some of the artists I've met before there, it's like a little bit of they feel like they're selling their soul by marketing themselves, but in this day and age, you kind of have to be both your own promoter as well as the content creator of the art that you're producing.
Does anyone need her to use a mic?
Oh, yeah.
Are you fine? Nobody said yes. So.
I think we should, just for continuity, because I know I get soft-spoken. I'm very aware of it.
Right.
Sometimes people can't hear and they don't want to say anything, so.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, there we go. So the part about defining your audience, who do you want to attract? Who do you want to come to your events? Who do you want to come to your openings? Who do you want to look at your artwork outside of your immediate friends and family? And so if you start by envisioning that picture and then thinking about how do you reach them? And it's also, talking about your story. How does your story as an artist, as a performer, how are you reaching out to people who don't already know you? There's something about, relying on your community, especially when we have such a rich arts community in this town where everyone kind of knows each other, and, the person sitting next to you can do a little PR spiel for you. But how do you expand? How do you get out of Tompkins County? How do people who have no idea, who have no preconceived notions about the person that you are or this place that you come from, how are they going to connect with you and your art, your performances? So there's the two parts of that, which is defining who you want to connect with. Look at other people who are maybe a couple steps ahead of you in your career and see where they are, who they're reaching out to, the language they use to talk about themselves. Are they talking first person, third person? And then also talk about your story, because you as an artist, it's not just what you make, but really where this art comes from. Your story, how did you get here? What did you learn? Interesting things like, hey, I was an engineer and now I make paintings, and that's interesting. And the part about rational buy-in from your audience. So when you're putting yourself out there to this new audience, to describing yourself, telling your story, there's also a little bit of convincing, and say, well, this is why you should come to my thing. This is why you should click and go see my website and view my art. This is why you should download my songs. This is why you should come to my show. And so by putting those bullet points together, who do you want? What is your story? And what is that rational buy-in that you want them to say, oh yeah, I should definitely download that. I should definitely go to the thing. So those are those three bullet points that will help get you started. And I think a lot of the things we talk about tonight are other things that you can fill in those bullet points with. Would you like to add anything to that, either of you?
Thank you. That was beautiful, and I would echo everything Vicki just said, but I would just add to that. I was at a different panel or a different talk about marketing recently, and the presenter offered something similar to this that I thought was super helpful for me that I would like to offer to you all, which was asking yourself, what is the profile of the person that engages with your art? Whether that is through sales and you have data on who those people have been, whether it's 2 people, whether it's 10 people, trying to profile that individual. What are their motivations? What are their demographics? What's their age bracket? What do you think they do for work? Do you know what they do for work? And trying to write that out as a profile to help you understand who is interacting with you. I did this for myself. I looked, and I think actually there's like a group that interacts with me most, and there's a group that purchases from me most. And so I think when I talk to those different groups of people, it helps me understand how to kind of approach them. So building a little profile for yourself and having a look that way.
I would say excuse me, both of them said is great. I like the idea of profiling. I like to write down the characteristics of the customers that I'm looking for. I do stand-up comedy, so a lot of times I look for people. I write down things like, all right, I'm interested in people who go out to live comedy events. I'm interested in people who follow these particular Instagram accounts. I'm interested in people who are, who are primarily live comedy events. So for me, it's about looking at where the customers that I want to attract really are. And like for me, it helps me writing down a profile and the specific characteristics about that. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be hiccuping all night.
So we should scare you?
So, you know, I just want to add that something that I often do when I'm working with, in particular, visual artists is if you want your work to be accessible, then use accessible language. You have to know who your audience is. If you're applying to a sculpture studio and you're a sculptor, you may use different language. If you're having a show in downtown Ithaca and you want to attract people on the commons into the show. I like what Mickey said. I like to encourage people, like on our Greater Ithaca Art Trail, to tell us their stories. You know, I used to work in a corporation, and then I would take walks in nature, and then I started taking photographs. That's what's interesting to people, not the technical stuff in general. So the next question is traditional marketing recommendations. Like, let's just say, what about TV and radio interviews? What about op-eds? What about ads? What about community calendars? Anna.
So I put this question kind of out there because I know that when we talk about marketing, I think lately the pigeonhole tends to be thinking about digital only and possibly social media, and that I'm sure we'll cover in more detail also as well later. But I wanted to make sure we carved out time to talk a little bit about traditional marketing avenues and why they're still so important. Because if we're talking about marketing and reach and what Mickey outlined for us here at the start, it's about trying to get, again, that new audience. If you have a collection of folks on Instagram or TikTok or whatever the places that you are arranging as your primary outlet, I can guarantee you that there are a different group of individuals who are reading the Penny Saver or whatever the Ithaca Times, the hard copy paperwork, or watching the news. So doing things like being aware of when you have a large event or an event coming up, understanding the basics of, say, writing a press release, and then having a small list of your local news individuals where you could share that to, and the possibility of even just your press release getting coverage, or maybe even an interview. That's going to tap into a wider audience. Sure, there will be overlap, probably, but you never know whose eyes will land on that. I think also not downplaying the importance of pursuing, I guess I'm a visual artist, so I like to pursue kind of publications or written interview formats, and sometimes that looks like me submitting to online publications that might put up a profile about me, or an interview setting. And the situations for me that those have arisen has usually been through either word of mouth, or I've been interested and I've paid attention to how these individuals are collecting their possible interviewees and touching base with them. And it just kind of might not be your primary focus, but it's definitely something to be aware of and helps you think a little bit differently about getting your work in front of people. Anyone else?
I don't know. It all depends on what people think about traditional marketing. Like the press releases, I think are really great. Radio, I think, is really good to do. And here in Ithaca, it's really accessible through the college radio stations. Mm-hmm. It's really accessible and inexpensive. Yes, and like they're usually always interested in new people, so getting interviews and things on that like that is a little simple. So like I don't know, are like getting the community calendars, are those digital or are those traditional?
I would call that that's more traditional.
Okay.
I would say historically those are pinned up on walls, right?
Right. Yeah, I think community calendars are really important, yeah. And I think like for me, I think overlap is essential. I think you cannot get your message out there more. I know, as Mickey said, sometimes as artists we're like, oh, that's too much. We're being like just a little too pretentious. But if you think about Dodge, like you'll see a Dodge commercial on TV every like 30 seconds. So like being out there, might have the most success when I put my events on as many calendars as possible, as many event sites as possible as well.
Also posters. Visual media is great too. So whether it's taking out an ad visually, mailers are really nice. I mean, they could be, cost prohibitive for some people, but it's not as expensive as it once was back in the olden days of offset printing. But you can have targeted mailers, and I'll tell you a piece that I had a postcard from Yen Espina here, and there's a particular picture that I loved, and I had it on my wall for a long time, and then I finally bought it. So it's a constant reminder of this thing that you like, and so actually having a physical piece, my refrigerator is littered with, postcards from different visual artists, and so that is, that's also a piece of marketing as well. So you send out a mailer, make, one side of it very beautiful, so it, someone wants to have it hung up, in their office, on the fridge, whatever.
Well, I think, all right, so I would also consider email lists as traditional marketing, like email lists. I think email lists are great. Sometimes, I'm not sure about other people, but at first I used to feel like they weren't effective because you would send them out, not everybody would read it, and then people wouldn't show up at the events. But I realized that the email is not for everybody all the time. You send it out so you can reach that one person at that one time. So thinking about, I have to think about, okay, maybe I'm sending out an email and I'm sending it out to 1,000 people on Monday, but it's only supposed to be for that one person who's going to get it on Monday. Then maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday it'll be for somebody else. But I've had experiences where people have come to me and I'm like, why? How'd you hear about the event? And I said, I've been getting the emails for like 3 or 4 months, and I finally said, one day I was like, I want to come. And it's once people give you their email, that is a really good sign that they're interested and they want to hear more from you. So I really think that's great, and it's probably one of the lowest input things you can do with marketing, at least for me, that has like the biggest impact. It's because once you get those people, you can communicate with them, and they might not give you the feedback, but they're seeing it, and then the time that it fits them, they're aware of it. Excuse me.
By the way, if anyone would like a list of local calendars, I have that. And I'll put my business cards over here. So the next question was about social media best practices. And this could be a pretty vast subject, right? So who wants to start?
You have it in your hand.
Yeah, so I think social media can be pretty overwhelming. Does anyone hate social media kind of like a little bit? Or do you love it? Actually, that's kind of a good question. Oh, some people love it. That means you've hacked it. That's great. I feel like there was a point in my life, there's been like oscillating points in my life where I've truly detested social media, and then other points where I'm like, oh, I think I've hacked the system a tiny bit. And then other points where I'm just pretty ambivalent. But I think like one of the things that I wanted to offer was I am a visual artist, so I tend towards, I'm now on all the platforms. I don't think I was initially, definitely wasn't initially. I started on Instagram as a visual artist, so I identified kind of the platform that I thought would be the best fit for me, and then I kind of blossomed out from there. So then I added a Facebook account because it was easy to tie them together, right? So if you post to Instagram, you can also make it post to Facebook. Easy addition, no, not a hard lift there. So trying to find ways so that you can kind of repeat what you're doing in simple steps. And the most recent one that I found that I really enjoy is I will edit my reels or my video content on Instagram and save it before I publish it. And it doesn't keep all the tags and everything. And then I can recycle it to all the video platforms. So I can take it over to TikTok and it won't be branded as Instagram. It'll still have all my edits in there. Maybe I have to redo the audio, the voiceover, whatever. But I've already typed that out as a script for myself, and then TikTok can generate my captions. And I haven't dabbled too terribly much into this, but if you're familiar, is anyone a video content creator? Like typically, no? Well, yes, okay, so YouTube Shorts is now a new thing, so I was gonna try that out a bit too, but to me that's like one version of editing that I can now recycle into 3 different platforms. And my primary focus tends to be my Instagram, but if there's easy ways for me to put the content multiple places, I'm gonna do it.
What do you do when you make the video in Instagram? Before you post it, you do what?
Save it. So at the very top or somewhere in the
Mm-hmm.
in the screen, there's just a download button,
Yeah.
and it saves it. It'll tell you it can't keep the audio. Like if you put music over it, for instance,
Right.
it won't keep the audio of that music, but if it's just the ambient sounds of your video, it'll keep those. But yeah, it'll just save it, and there won't be any of the like Instagram branding where like if you save your video after it's published, it'll have like your Instagram branding, and TikTok doesn't like to see your Instagram
Yeah.
branding.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
But they're happy to put their branding when you put
Yes.
Yeah.
TikTok onto Instagram.
Yeah.
When it comes to social media, I encourage people to either use the one that you're on the most and you're comfortable with, the one that you enjoy, or use the one where the people you are going to be the most. Excuse me. Like, it's interesting. I do a lot of Instagram. There's a lot of young people with comedy on Instagram, but Facebook is where a lot of people my age and older find the content. And then also I realized that for me that more people, more folks older spend money on tickets and leisurely things like that. So I tend to do ads, spend money on ads on Facebook a little bit more than Instagram. Okay, so if I use, I do what you do, like I make a video and I save it, and then I use that and put it on a lot of different ones, but I don't make it on Instagram. I use YouTube Create, so, yeah, so YouTube Create I like it because it's better than Instagram, and it allows you to upload your own music. Like you can upload your own music to it and then download that, and then I use that to put on Instagram and other things, so that's cool. If you are a video content creator, there are other tools out here, Capwing, CapCut, that are really cool tools that help you take your videos and format them for TikTok and Instagram, 60 seconds and whatnot, which is sort of simple. I like scripting, writing out what she said it really quickly, but writing out what you're saying before you say it will make it so much easier and so much better for you. One of the things about Instagram that I think is cool, if you use that, posting, if you go to the templates, like, how many people here use the templates on Instagram? Y'all are smart. If people are on Instagram, you should use the templates whenever you go to create a post. If you look at the top, it'll show templates, and what happens is it has the music there, and then it has all the transitions, and you just choose the video or the images you want, and it'll give you a really nice video with like transition that fits into the type of things that's popular on Instagram. For me, like when I did it, I felt like I saw an increase in like engagement and what I got from the post. And I'm somebody who I love social media because it makes it easier for me to sell people tickets. But I hate just social media because of like the rabbit hole that it gets you into. One of the things that I did as well was I only used other programs to post to Instagram or to social media things. So I wouldn't get on Facebook to post to Facebook. I would use an app to post to Facebook, or I would use Facebook Business to post to Facebook that way. I'm sorry, I was only engaging with the app in a way to connect with people as opposed to using it for recreation or entertainment.
All right, hi. I use social media a lot. In fact, I ran a workshop with Robin a couple years ago that was specifically social media for artists. So I could talk on this for a while, but I'm going to try and condense it down to a few key best practices for you. So part of social media is building your audience, because it's one thing to share out, your ticket link, but if no one is, following you, then no one's going to see it. Also, the algorithms thing. If you are posting regularly and getting engagement from your followers, then your posts are going to be more likely to be seen when you're actually posting something that you want to engage them in, when you're marketing your show, your latest release, whatever it is. But what are regular posts? Things that you can do is that you can use this media to tell your story, and a lot of the artists that I love and follow, both locally and globally, they it doesn't always have to be about their art. There's a local performer in town here, and she happens to be this amazing gardener, and she just shows life. I love watching her posts because it's just so beautiful, and she's a musician, and so she'll play a little ditty or use a bit of her recording as she's walking through her garden, or harvesting vegetables, and it's just really endearing, and there's that gives you insight to the human behind the artist, and so those are the types of regular posts that you can do. Other people, works in progress. So someone's there's a local visual artist here, and he will record his process, and then he'll speed it up, and you can watch art, some of the artwork be created, and then say, and then he's like, and then come to my show and see it on a wall and perhaps buy it. There's also performance artists, some of our burlesque family, we get to see, you see them taking classes, seeing them fall down trying to learn pole dancing, and it's really cute and fun and adorable, and to show that life behind all of the sequins and rhinestones, and show that there's a lot of work that goes into that final 3-minute performance that you see, and it really makes you connect to the artists that so you want to go support them. You saw what it took for them to get to this place where now they're putting it out on stage, and it's you want to go and you want to cheer for them and really support them because you've been a part of their journey. So that's part of, and that ties back to telling your story, the audience that you want to attract, and who you are. The other piece too is, next level engagement. There are artists out there who use social media to sell their pieces. There was someone local here for a while. She was doing these really intricate mirror mosaic pieces, and she couldn't get anyone to purchase one for the price that they would be worth. So say, something like $300 for, this beautifully mosaicked mannequin. And but something that she would do, she would do raffles. So you would put your name into a raffle for $10 a pop. She would get 30-40 people in there, and now it's paid for that art piece. And then not only that, she's creating excitement, she is creating viewers, she is creating that FOMO for like, oh, I should have bought a ticket. It was only $10. She could have pulled my name out of the hat. But then, but she's just accomplished selling a piece of artwork. She's accomplished creating, this hype online and getting, really, really focused engagement, which was, I thought, really genius.
A couple of technical things. If you folks are working on, if you're using like fake Meta business, for the back end, one of the things that they have is they tell you when the best time to post is. Which is, it's like Meta for business. I think that you can post on Facebook, you can post on Instagram at the same time, and it's really helpful because it'll ask you what your goal is and give you suggestions. Say, okay, post 3 reels this week. It'll give you goals and targets to reach. It'll also tell you when the best time to post at. So it might say for the peak of your followers, they generally are on Instagram at 8 p.m. So that might be the best time for you to post. So that's something that I think technically is helpful. Also, I know people hear this a lot and they say schedule. Like you can schedule your post on Instagram, on Facebook, on everything, and that makes it so much easier. But in order to schedule the post, you have to have your content already together. So what I see happen a lot, or what I used to struggle with, is I'd be trying to make the content and post all at the same time, and it always felt like I was behind. But when I realized that, okay, my problem is I just don't have enough content. So I took some time out and I made enough content for like maybe two weeks. Then I sat down on a Wednesday and I just did 2 weeks of posting, scheduled everything, and then I went about my 2 weeks without thinking about it. And it makes it really, really, really easy. But one of the challenges is to make sure you have the content so you can actually do the schedule. So I encourage everybody to take time. If you're a visual artist, it might be a little easier because you have these things, but if you're a poet, it might be a little more difficult to try to find ways to do this. But create the content, and then once you create the content, sit down and create the content, come up with a plan, and then sit down and schedule it and execute the plan. And it'll make the work-life balance around that so much better. And like I said, it was really helpful for me.
So one of the things that I thought of is that if you think, oh, I don't really know what to do, just look on social media and find some artists who you really admire.
Yes.
And look at the way they're doing things. I want to say that when people come to events, it's generally because they know the artist. And by know, it doesn't mean they've even met them in person. It's that they've interacted with them. So then they see the name and artist talk by this person, and they're like, oh, I know them, and they will come. And if people don't know you, they kind of don't come, I have a really quick question. I'm going to ask it because I can. A lot of times I will go to look for an artist on Instagram and I know the artist's name, but I don't know their Instagram name and I can't find them. And I want to say, and I recognize that I'm old, but I want to say,
I'm old too.
I want to say, I like it when artists use their name because then I can find it. Like, I never remembered that Dan McFeeters is sculptedimages.com. And nowadays, you can probably type in Dan McFeeters and he will show up, but sometimes not, because sometimes people don't actually mention their. Anyway, what do you think about that, about people being able to find you? You're KennethMcLaurin.com, you're AnnaWarfield.com.
I've got a simple statement for that. It's like, your name is your brand. Yes.
Yeah. I was trying to find some artists yesterday on Instagram. I'm like, I give up. I know they're here somewhere, but their name isn't here.
Yeah.
So, and it's a trend I see of using different names for different things. So I just wanted to say that perspective. I'm going to skip to, I'm going to skip around. I feel like, are you talking about me?
No, I just said, was that a question?
I feel
Because she
like,
said she was gonna ask a question, but
She said, what do you think about that?
I did say, what do you think? Oh, Mickey answered. What do you think about that?
I agree.
I was so sure I was right that I didn't even ask what their opinion was. I'm gonna skip over to, because I think this feels like it comes next. Networking. Networking. How important is networking? How important is those one-on-one connections? How much comes out of, we do networking events. People talking to each other at a networking event, having cake, and then come to me later and say, I met this person, we're doing a collaboration now. Especially true with artists like writers and visual artists who work in isolation. But networking, let's talk about what you guys do in terms of networking and strategic partnerships to attract a wider audience. Is that the same thing? Strategic partnerships? You wrote that.
No.
Okay, that's different. Yeah. Go talk about both of those.
Okay, networking, the idea of going places where the people are who enjoy the thing that you do. For me, my networking is, this room, right? But also as
I wrote, you're doing it now.
this is odd for me as a stand-up comedian. I think networking is when I go to open mics and different things and perform at festivals, because I meet other comedians and we're able to talk about opportunities, and then I also get an opportunity to meet people who are interested in the thing I do, which is stand-up comedy. And then thirdly, I get an opportunity to show them what I do, then interact and meet with them. I think it's really good. And strategic opportunities, I think, are best, are the coolest thing. Finding somebody who does something that you think can add value to what you do, and you can add value to what they do. I think it's a great way for you folks to bring your different followers and crowds together and introduce people to like different artwork. And for me, I actually ended up becoming married. And I do stand-up comedy.
Be careful of where you network.
Yeah, be careful.
You might end
Yes,
up
you might end up
becoming
married. And my current wife, she's a local singer, and I was like, we should do some stuff together. There was some comedy and some music, and we did a couple of shows, and then we ended up being married. So just be careful.
It happens.
It does.
Yes, well, that's a very special story. I do like that. What was funny about Jack's story is he'd be telling stories at Trampoline about this new love in his life, and then meanwhile, I'm hearing, Therese talk about some new man in her life when she's on stage, and then all of a sudden I'm at a party and I open the door and the two of them are standing there together. I was like, anyway, it was a happy story. So I have this story that this guy who's a local musician, he came to something that I was promoting, and it was well attended, and he kind of like got a little pissy. He kind of had a chip on his shoulder because no one ever comes to his shows, and it was rare that he was out. So I knew to ask him this question, and I was like, well, how often do you come out and see these other bands play? And he's like, well, I'm like, so you just want these people who you have no connection with to just decide to come to your show? I'm like, when you are not here, you're not going to their shows. So I'm like, so why are they coming to your shows? Why is this audience engaging with you? He was like, oh, okay. He never followed up on that advice, but he's also not in the band anymore. So think about that too. I mean, unless you happen to be like an awful person, don't do that. But you all seem like you're probably pretty nice. But go out there, come to, Robin makes it really easy. Community Arts Partnership makes it really easy. Like we just said, you're doing it right now. Get out to the shows, even if it's not in the same medium of something that you're doing, you're just engaging with other people who are interested in arts and performance, and this is the human experience right here. Like this is the best of us. this is, we're brave, we're creative, we're sharing, and to be around other people who enjoy that and appreciate it or create it themselves, those are people that you're going to be able to engage with just by just getting out there and talking.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah, sure.
I really appreciate what you're saying, getting involved and showing up for other people and being relational and all that.
Okay.
And a question I had that I've been really thinking a lot about is that my music and my career grew to the point where I was trying to be friends with everybody to do that, and then I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yes.
Which was, maybe a good problem to have. But then it got to the point where I was like trying to figure out how through social media, how through my own shows to kind of like be connected to people on a relational level when I just couldn't do it to that. I couldn't do that much. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Like I almost like did that at first and then it worked. Then I couldn't do it anymore. Does that make sense? And so I'm just trying to, in my marketing stuff, I'm always trying to, how do I be relational with my fans in a way that feels relational, even though I'm not going to, I can't go to that, am I communicating?
So what we're saying is you're too popular for everyone.
No.
No. I'm so
It's like,
it is, you have to be authentic. You have to recognize your own energy. And what you do have to give, because probably like after being on stage, do you really want to afterwards have a meet and greet with people? Like some people who like when they're done with performing are so emotionally drained that talking afterwards can be hard and not the best way to connect with people. But I mean, how you get out in the world should be something that feels good to you, that is giving you life, that is giving you, it's like you want to talk to people, you want to be excited. What was your question? How do you do that?
Well, it's really like you think of the bigger performers or someone who they give the feeling that they're your friend,
Right.
even though they're not servicing every individual.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that kind of, yeah.
I'm laughing because this might seem a little cheesy, but you actually have to feel that. Like in some ways, if you don't have a team of people who are doing it for you, you actually have to feel that, and it'll sort of come off. My wife is a great example. Like people feel like they know her.
Yeah.
Like they just feel like they know her. We'll be places, and people come, they'll talk to her, and she'll be like, oh well, like, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. And they'll be like, oh, like, you don't know me. Like, I've never met you, but I feel like I know you. And it's because, in some ways, the things she shares through her social media and through her interaction is really honest, it's genuine, and it's her story.
Yeah.
And so that's how people interact with her. And one thing I'd say, like, if about what you're asking, I think is, how do you know how you want to relate to people? Do you know like the type of interaction that you want to have with them? And I think that is a really good place to start, because then you can sort of tailor what you do based on how you want to interact with the people, or the type of reaction that you want to get from people.
I'm gonna pivot back to my answers for part of this question. I'm not going to try to overlap too terribly much, but I would say like yes to the rooms like this and others of places that you can think about. But even going to like unconventional spaces. Again, I'm based in Binghamton, and we have like a Kauffman Southern Tier Incubator, which is for businesses, but I go to their networking events because I know I'm probably going to meet someone who doesn't understand what I do, and they'll be so curious that we keep talking after. And like that tends to happen. People tend not to fully understand what artists do, so when you insert yourself into kind of unconventional spaces, it can be nerve-wracking, but it can also be very generative. Truly, in the case of networking, that terrible term, we're all a part of like the network. Like you're all part of my network now that you've been in this room with me. Come say hi, you're now part of my network. Like that's how it works. Networking is relational. And I would encourage you to not think of it as transactional, right? Not transactional, relational. So it's understanding this person in front of me who I may or may not have met before, asking them sincere questions about themselves so that you can understand how you might be able to help them in the future. Even if in this given moment you don't have that yet. But knowing each other means that maybe down the line that opportunity will emerge and vice versa. So relational. And then if there's someone in your like ether that you haven't like built that one-on-one relationship with yet, just ask them for coffee and then suddenly they're in your network. That was my go-to, still is when I have the bandwidth for it, is just a simple like, can I buy you coffee and like let me get to know you and like here's what I have going on. It works really well. And it's a slow build. I think to answer sort of what you were asking about, I think all of marketing is a slow build. It's picking a platform, it's trying something, it's failing at something, but it's you still keep going and you adapt and building those relationships. It's gonna accumulate over time, but meeting one new person a week, that's how many? 50 new people in a year for you? That's a lot, and that'll proliferate out. So that's what I would say there.
Yeah.
I like that, one person a week, I like that.
Yeah. So I'm in the Ithaca Concert Band, and it's awesome. It's a community group, anybody can join. I think unless you play clarinet, because they seem to be mumbling about there's too many. But we had an October concert in Ford Hall, and there were 40 people in the audience, and there's 85 people in the band. And I'm just there for fun. I didn't want to take over, but I had a talk with the board, and I said, if each of the band members, if 85 band members sent a personal invitation, not just like a mass email, but hey, Mickey, I'm performing in the band on December 15th. If you come, let's go out for ice cream afterwards. You know, like a real one-on-one invitation. So my challenge was that each band member personally invite 6 people to come, and it's so simple and it's free. And it's that it's not, we're bombarded with emails and Instagram and calendar listing, but so that personal one-on-one ice cream relationship is really important.
So December 15th, ice cream?
The Ithaca Concert Band, December 15th. It's awesome. So the next subject, one of them was, if you were forced to pick one avenue, oh my God, what would it be? Like if you could only do one thing, what's your most important thing? For me, I don't know, I think that it's that personal invite. But I also think calendar listings are really important because people will go to ithacaevents.com or ithaca.com. You wrote that question, so how would you answer it?
No, I
wrote
did not
that
write that
question.
question.
So how would you answer it?
I was curious, for everyone's, what's their like one go-to? Like if you could only do one thing per week or one thing per month, and you're like, this is the bread and butter for me. This is what gets the most like hits of those likes. You know what I'm saying? What would it be, or whatever it is? Feedback for your events. I think for me, it's probably I'm like pretty intensely focused on my Instagram. And even though like the algorithms can suck at times and like I don't know what is happening in there right now, but specifically I would do Reels because if you are interested in like the algorithmic side of it, it does show you that it's not, it's showing your content to people outside of who's already following you. So if we're talking about exposing your work to new audiences, I think for me, that's going to be my best mode of doing that, and it has been. And then specifically, I would do a reel that's probably using trending audio and has text overlay because people I know like to read or see someone talking, and I don't love to be in front of the camera, so they're allowed to have my voiceover if I can stomach it. So that's probably what I would do. And then tag, if I'm talking about being here at CAP, I would tag because again, it would show it, ideally CAP might share it, and then they would show it to a new audience possibly. So that's my one.
That's a tough one. I really, because part of me wants to say, I don't know, I might say email. Yeah, I think for me, it would be email. I like email because it's that direct connection with people I know who already interacted with me. And then I can target it with my email, like with my email, I have it segmented to people who purchase tickets for particular events, so I can send the emails out to people who are at all the shows at 6 Mile Creek, so I can target them. I can put different type of media in it. I can tell when, oh yeah, and nowadays, like I send it out and they'll say, okay, like half the people opened it. Do you want to resend it out to the other half of the people with a different subject matter?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right?
It's MailChimp or?
No, actually, it's Wix. It's
Wix?
Yeah, right in
Okay.
Wix. So I just do that. I think, for me, it's probably email. That's where I sell most of my tickets from my email, and I think I can always increase the email list from my one-on-one engagements when I'm out with people. So for me, it would probably be email.
For me, it's social media. And I have learned the things that get me the most engagement, likes and interaction. And because what I tend to be selling is me. I'm a host, I'm a personality. And so when I post, this sounds so funny to say that, when I post a picture of myself, that is when I get the most engagement. I will post beautiful images of other things, but when it's of me and I'm talking about something myself, that is when the people who follow me engage the most. So I've got one of those posts coming up. Those of you who follow me. I have not yet scheduled it because I have not yet written it. But it's written in my mind and will come out soon. But for me, I like social media. I like the comment section. I like being able to, have people react to the post, say things, be able to say things back, start a conversation. But that's me. I'm a social person, and so this media is very, fits right into how I operate when I'm out in the world physically and not just online. So for me, that's my favorite.
Hey, I had a question. Yeah, can you guys talk about the algorithm a little bit more? 'Cause it's changed, and it's not great. And I don't know if you guys figured out a way to combat that or what that looks like.
For
Can
me, I found,
we hold the question till the end?
okay.
Sure.
Yeah, because that's like such an interesting question, and it's so complicated, and we all need to know it, We need to know it so that we know what we're doing and can think ahead,
I'll write it down.
right? But let's go through the questions and then go, because I really need to know that as well. So the next one was capturing media from your event to use for future events. How important is that? Mickey?
Yeah.
Oh,
Kenneth is.
Kenneth.
Yeah, yeah.
is the king of this.
Yeah.
yeah, this is so important. And one of the things I mentioned earlier is like you need content in order to do the work on social media. And like if you're not, for me, it's always taking pictures, and it makes it so easy once you have the pictures and images. So the best thing to do is actually, if you have the budget, hire somebody to come in and take pictures of the event. Like if it's an event, you have the budget, bring somebody in, have them take pictures, and then once you have all the pictures, if it's Instagram, you go on Instagram, you go to the templates because they have the trending audio, you use the templates, and just boop, 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 boop. And you sit there with the 50 pictures that you took, and you take an hour or 2 hours. All right, we're going to do it the right way. You have your 50 pictures, you know the ones you're going to use, you write down, you come up with the text that you're going to use. Ideally, this is the way you're supposed to do it. Ideally, you would write all that down because you'd be able to use it later on. Right, and then once you have all that together, you sit down, you schedule everything out in 3 hours, and you forget about it for like the next week, 2 weeks, and your social media is popping. Then you do is you get up and you engage with the comments, you hit like, you be like, yes, that was good. So like, it is, like, that's the content in some ways, like the pictures and the things. So I think it is so important to do that and have it someplace accessible and just make it really easy. So, because if you don't have, like, the pictures, you don't have the content.
And, and if it's something like, a show, a concert that you're promoting by sharing pictures of past ones, people can have a picture in their head, be like, oh, that looks like something I want to go to. So it's just as easy as, putting that picture in someone's head to quite literally.
And then from like very visual arts perspective, exhibitions are like gold. Both putting them up for content generation, but also taking them down. And then when they're actually in space, people love to see that. It's also important, like I've learned, I didn't take enough documentation of a show that like existed at one point. I'm never gonna have that opportunity again. So for my own like archival sake, I try to take as much documentation of shows or works in spaces as I possibly can. And I'm constantly, is anyone familiar with Rachel B. Hayes? She's an artist, a fiber artist. If you know me, that makes sense for why I would be obsessed with her work. But she has said many, many times actually, that she doesn't just want her artwork to live on a hard drive or in like a USB drive, right? She wants it to be shared. So she's constantly recycling back artworks that she's done in the past or installations of various things that are not like currently relevant, but it is because it's telling people that yes, I have this repertoire and these are the things that I have done. So recycling back content is also like helpful for those things you've collected in the past.
So one of the other things that Kenneth already touched on was workflow. Like Kenneth already talked about front loading a lot of the work. But did you guys have any other thoughts on workflow? Because sometimes it can take like 50% of your time to do marketing.
I think Kenneth spoke really well about this, but that's kind of, definitely trying to come up with rhythms for yourself. Like I said, saving the things that I can recycle it and I don't have to think about it. I'm also a huge scheduler. I don't want to have to be obsessed and constantly pulled into the loop of the Instagram doom spirals and the TikTok. They've set it up so that you get stuck in there, and I don't want to be stuck in there. So I love a good like scheduled block on Monday. If I can, I'll go multiple weeks out if I have enough things to go, enough content to post that far out. If I'm really busy, that's easy. If I'm not so busy, I just try to post once a week and call it a day. But yeah, I definitely think scheduling, looking through your media archives, trying to come up with some new plans when things are slower, looking at what other people are doing to try and generate ideas, but also trying not to feel too much pressure about it, because like something is better than nothing, and like if you need to prioritize mental health, like please do that. So
Yes, I agree. Like, prioritize mental health.
I don't do that. The workflow, if you're an artist and you really want to be, utilizing the tools, creating a schedule for yourself, and it doesn't have to take over your time. So if it's once a month, you sit down, you write out things that are going on, you look at, you go through your phone or whatever else you take pictures and be like, oh, I can write something about this. And you can do some like bulk processing of your content. If it's, if you have a show coming up and something that you're working on promoting, you can still take one day and do, all of the work, and then, create on, whatever tools you use to schedule things yourself. Be like, this is the day I'm going to send out all the emails. This is the day I'm going to follow up at the radio station to make sure they received my press kit. This is, and so you can do the sit down, content creation, the writing, create the images, do that in a process, and then schedule things in a way that will work for you. And if it's something that's date specific, you always work backwards from that, and when I have events that I do, I will put something out way in advance. A theater that I just did something with, I really had to get into. They had a young marketing person, and she was like, well, no one ever buys tickets until 2 weeks before the performance. And I was like, but they're thinking about it in advance. I'm like, they might not pull the trigger. They don't just see the thing and be like, oh, I want that now. They're like, all right, let me reach out to my friends. Let me,
Am I in town that day?
Right.
Do my kids have a game?
How many paychecks do I have between now and then?
Right. Exactly. And, right, do we need, if you have kids, babysit, all of the details. But trying to explain to her and be like, so I will, even before, I might not even have all of the talent booked for a show that I am producing, but I have the date, I've got the location, I know what it's gonna be about, so put it out there, save the date, get it on people's radar, be like, oh yeah, right, I definitely wanna do that. And then as I start to, build the cast of my performers, then I have more content to put out, just announced, delightful, we'll be on stage. And then you have more content to share. But also you look at the closer you get to that event, and then you ramp things up, and you kind of get it in everyone's face, more, right up until you can post that thing sorry, sold out.
So the last thing on here, you could keep talking about that, but I just want to put out there that the last thing on here, did we talk about creating a shareable event invitation yet?
Not yet.
So if you have any more comments on that last subject, go for it, and then that was the next one.
I was just gonna say plan. It's always good to plan, and I had to start thinking about even the social media posts as not one thing, but a couple of small, 2 or 3 small tasks that I do, because I used to think about, oh, I want to do this post, and it's frustrating because you're like, oh, wait, I don't have the picture. Oh, wait, I need this. Oh, wait, I need that. And so it's a lot of little small tasks, and once I understood that and getting that together and planning, that was helpful. And shareable links. So anytime, once it's online, once it's created and it's on the internet, it is a digital shareable link. You could share the link. If you have an Android phone, you can just hit the hamburger button and a share link will come up.
There's a hamburger button?
Well, the three lines, that's what they call the hamburger.
Okay.
Yeah. Or the three line, you hit the 3 lines, the menu bar, and it'll have something that share. But if you want to get fancy, there are things like Bitly and other URL shorteners where you can create your own URL. So I do some shows, I do a Canada's comedy show, we call it Smoking and Joking. So yeah, it's funny, right? Smoking and joking. So the link is smoking and joking, and so that's easy to share. But yeah, once it's online, it's generally shareable. But if the question was about if you're doing tickets, if you're having a ticketed event, you just need to find a website that is easy for you, that you like, that sells tickets. I like Eventbrite.
Yeah.
And the shareable part is not just the artist sharing it with the audience, but it is something that your fans, who are your allies, by the way, be like, hey, invite a friend. Here's the link. Tell your friends about this. Bring everyone out to the next thing. And so by making something that is shareable and encouraging that, then hopefully, you'll get some new folks there as well.
And then your best friend in terms of social media platforms for creating events is Facebook. Most people look to Facebook now for their social calendar essentially. and avoid the ads and family members. But so creating an event for when, a Facebook event for when you have an event, so your exhibitions, your poetry readings, your performances, whatever it's gonna be, that's really important because it'll share it with, if you have your like artist event or your artist page, it'll be there. Share it to your personal, you've got your own friends that can see it. Anyone who says they're modicum interested in that, it's gonna proliferate out to their network, so that's increasing your reach. It does a lot of like work for you. So I would highly recommend, if anything, just using Facebook for creating events and creating that archive.
I will say, if you do use Eventbrite, there's a button and it puts it on Facebook for you automatically as well. That's like, so I have gone through so many different ticketing platforms. I used to use brown paper tickets because they had a phone number you can call, and then they would send you actual like paper tickets that were great, but it was difficult. I started using my own website because I wanted to get the email list and create it there, but that's still like, it's good, but Eventbrite gets it out to more people. So now, when I do events, I put them on as many ticketing sites as possible. So, like, I have an event on brown paper tickets, I have it on Eventbrite, I have it on my website, and it's more stuff to check, but it gets out there, and then I all put everything on like these local calendars. Robin talked about the media listing. It's a great document. It has like, I'd encourage everybody like to reach out to us.
It's all local.
Yeah, it's all local. Radio stations, community calendars, other like places to connect with. Like, it's a great resource.
I've already gotten 2 requests for it on email. So if somebody is overwhelmed by everything that you're talking about, you could just Google how to use Instagram, best practices for using Facebook. It's all there. And watching tutorials, you should make sure that anything you watch is recent, because there's no sense watching a tutorial that was actually from 2019. It won't be accurate anymore. Do you agree with what I just said? Like,
Yes.
it's all out there, right?
I
Yes.
agree.
Yeah, just learn it. I mean, I had to get a Google Sheet into a Google Doc. Took me a frickin' hour, but I figured it out based on not only a tutorial, but the questions that people asked. When I had trouble, why doesn't this work? Someone else had asked that question. It's all there.
Do you want to go back to her
Yeah,
question?
I totally do. So we're going to open this to questions. And one other question. If someone says, oh, I really want to hire somebody locally to help me with this, who's hireable?
Well, everybody's hireable. I don't know who's good though.
Oh, yeah, okay, let me rephrase. Who do you, like, if you recommend, let me know if you know anyone who helps people, artists with social media. Because some people just don't have the time, because it is, I think what we've learned is there's time involved. So let's answer the question about algorithms, because that's really interesting.
So, do you want to repeat it or?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to know if you guys have figured out a way to combat it.
I do.
I know, right? It's
Well, maybe
so
define,
Money.
if people don't know what an algorithm is in terms of social media, just say what it is, so we understand the question.
So an algorithm is the thing that exists behind what you get to see, basically. It quote unquote drives what you see in your feeds. So on Facebook, what's showing up and why, it's probably because people are interacting with it. And so the algorithms like, people like this, better show it to more people who might like this. Okay, and then, sorry.
Okay.
As far as like the algorithm goes, whoever it is, I have 2 points. My main hack for it is like, it doesn't always work 100% of the time because I don't, maybe you post at the wrong time and something doesn't gain traction. But using the features that like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook are debuting or are excited about, using as many of those or testing them as much as possible. So right now on Instagram, like the polls feature or the ask a question feature is kind of new. Using those things that are just being debuted. If you look at your Instagram like insights, and again, I know way too much about Instagram at this point. It tells you like reels tend to show your thing to more outside of your network. Carousels and still images tend to stay within the people that you already know. Obviously, same with the stories. That's within your current like group of people. But generally across the platforms, that tends to help. And then just continuing to try. I had a friend who worked for Meta, no longer does, but this frustration that we're all feeling, she basically validated like the algorithm is going to crap and like it needs help. But they're struggling with figuring out how to help it. So it's not super logical right now. So just keep going.
I like the few things I do know about the algorithm, just how it works. I know that comments are better than likes. Like, it likes comments better than likes. I know once you indicate that something is an event, the algorithm pushes it down. Like, once you let them know that hey, I'm having an event, it shows it to less people to encourage you to buy ads. So, like, I do purchase advertisement on social media, but, you know, I do that stuff.
Boosting or advertising? Targeted ads or boosting?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, I do both. But you know, because sometimes my posts are ads in some way. So like me boosting the post, it's like we Taco Tuesdays, little video telling people to come out. So I just boost the video. I do targeted ads. I do both. Like they both have like reach, and in some ways with you can do the same type of targeting with the boost that you can with the ads.
Okay. And you've gotten the same results pretty much?
Yeah, I've gotten the same results. It's one of the things where you actually I can say generally with the amount of money that I spend, the results are generally all are the same. If that makes sense. I think they are good. They are good about that. They're like, hey, if you give us this amount of money, we're going to put it in front of this amount of people and this sort of demographics, and they're good about doing that. And then the other thing that I feel, I don't know if it's checked or not, but generally Instagram doesn't like text, or even Facebook, they don't like text on pictures. Like a lot of words on pictures are not good. It used to be anything above 20% is going to get it shown to less people than before. But you know, I'd say don't worry about the algorithm as much. Be you, do your thing, and then what happens is, as long as you stick with it and are persistent, you will create the community that you're looking for. I am going to start something new on YouTube, and I'm talking to a guy who was a YouTuber, and he said, "Yeah, man, you're not going to be good until your 1,000th post. Like your video's not going to be good until your 1,000th video." Yes, that was I was like, what? But it's one of these things where you realize you have to. It takes time to be good at it. It takes time to be good at it, and a lot of times and what happens is just by the nature of social media, we see the people who are successful, and we see their success, but a lot of times we don't see the work or the time or how long it took them to be that successful. And that's my work on that.
How much time do you spend doing like engagements on your posts? I get lectured by my very supportive husband that I don't spend enough time doing engagements or engaging with other people's posts to like draw them to want to engage with me. So I'm really good at like posting and putting things out there and making content. But when people comment, like I will like it, I will comment back or something like that. But like I don't go back and forth for 72 years, and I don't go to their posts, and I'm not commenting on like all the people I like and spending hours or think like how much time do you spend? Like it's a debate in our realm.
I mean, I'm on your side with that one. You know, it's. I mean, it's important to, you know, like that people have commented on it. You know, it's you know, it creates that feedback loop. You know, if you have put, you know, there are some times where I will write a post and then I will not post it because I know that it's going to generate a lot of comments and require me to have a lot of engagement. And I'm like, and I don't have time for that. I don't have energy for the follow-up. So I won't. There are times when I do want that, and I will engage, but it's a choice, and it's also that part of being authentic to your energy, authentic to the type of engagement that you want to create. If people are like, oh, you look so pretty, oh, yay, look at your thing, you're like, thanks. If someone's like, wow, I'm really impressed with how far you have come with your costume making.
Absolutely.
And blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh wow, thanks for noticing that.
Yes.
But you don't have to be like every single person, yeah.
I wanted to ask, if you do mixed media stuff, like if you're a poet and also a visual artist, would you put it on the same account? Or would you want some kind of differentiation for channels?
Oh, I would want to see that you did both of those things. I would, there's an artist that I love who is an amazing illustrator, and she is this gorgeous musician. And while in her realm, she is more focused on the music, but the fact that I get to see on her, the art that she makes and the drawings that she makes in the same account, that again, it's part of like those things that make me connect to the things that you do. That's my
As
thoughts.
long as it's with the same name though, right? Like the same.
Yeah, same name.
I agree. I think if you're a dual threat, let everybody know you're a dual threat. in the same thing. And when she was talking about your story, the fact that you do both of those things, I think it's great and it's interesting. And then it's probably times where one thing influences the other, and sharing that as well. I think it's just great. So yes, letting people know all about you and who you are in that one place. As an artist, I think that's what I would do if it was me.
Yeah, we are all multifaceted, beautiful jewels. Shine.
I'm a visual artist and a poet. Oh my gosh. We'll talk, yes. Oh my gosh. I break out my personal account from my art.
Me too.
So I can still be like a normal human over here in private, and then I can like have a little bit more of like a quote unquote identity in my art. But my art is the visual arts and the poetry.
I think that's what has me held up from social media, is because I felt like I wanted to do both and it's hard to get started when you feel cold.
Yeah.
Can you repeat questions just for the tape?
So that was a question about a visual artist and a poet wanting to know or have feedback on the idea of breaking those two areas into their own accounts or own brands, or if they could coexist.
And I would suggest a great way for you to start that story is just what you told us here. You're like, I really wanted to do this, but I was conflicted. I didn't know how to start with like these two things, but now I'm just putting it out here and I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you in the world. Like the idea of being authentic and sharing your story. Like I think that's a great place to start, and I think that's cool too. My daughter is a poet and a visual artist, and I didn't know she was a visual artist until this year. She's like 24, and I didn't know she drew or anything until this year.
Hi, John Jensen with Upcycle Lamps.
I have your Darth Vader lamp.
It's one of my customers.
I have your Darth Vader lamp.
Oh, you do?
I want to be one of
My
your
daughter.
customers.
Yeah. All right, I guess I have no marketing. Anyway, I have two Facebook pages, and I will post a sort of a studio photograph of a lamp with a description, price, and everything. And I will get, a handful of likes and a few comments here and there, and that's been an ongoing thing. But out of this session tonight, and by the way, thank you for doing this, it occurred to me that maybe I should do some short video testimonials from people who have bought a lamp, because I do get some real stories from people. I'm buying this because, or in Joe's case, he bought one because I think his wife made him or something like that.
Oh, my daughter brought one. My daughter brought a Darth Vader lamp from from you, and she came home and she was like, hey, I was walking, I saw this lamp and I was like, oh my God, my pops would just love this, and she bought it. But like the lamps have so much personality.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you just post like a studio picture of them just with the price and whatnot, it doesn't capture all of the personality that you have in the lamps. I think somehow, like, whatever you do on social media, I think if you were able to highlight the personality of the individual of the lamps is like a piece of art and something that can really resonate with a particular person in a particular way would be really great.
I'm very familiar with your work. I'm a huge fan of yours. Obviously, you know this. I think I interact with all of your posts. I think, like, just like for the whole room, if you want to sell work online, you have to tell people it's for sale, and you already do this, so you do it really well. But like, you're not going to sell something unless you're ready to be like hawking it. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. In your case, I've actually thought about your work a lot, and I would love to see personally, like, the making of. Yeah, so there's a total market for you out there of like time lapse, you piecing these things together and just showing us how your brain is working a little bit. Just a thought.
Good thought.
That's how I fall asleep at night sometimes, is watching artists make things. It's just like, it's so lovely to watch, and it's so engaging, and you make such unique things that I think people would really, really be excited to see that type of content.
And my wife will affirm that sometimes I work in my pajamas.
Even better.
We're not putting that on the video.
We don't know if we need to see that.
Wait, who doesn't?
Do we have time to just answer, because I noticed Kenneth's hat, to talk about how merch fits into marketing and how it fits, how important is it? How small can you start? Like, what should we be working toward? Like, anything. Well, go for it.
Okay, all right, so, like, my tagline is "Life's a joke, find the funny." Like, it's been the title of one of my shows. I had a tour, "Life's a joke, find the funny." It's part of my merchandise. It's one of the things that I do to try to help make money. Like, I'm in my show, try to sell some t-shirts. Also, we do VIP tickets and we give away t-shirts with them, and that's a little branding, the way to get it out. I think, and so I think it's good. My wife, she has her own branded t-shirts and dresses. Mickey has a seamstress dress. I've been out and I've seen people with her shirts on. I've been places with her shirts on. People like, oh my God, I see trees. So I think it's great. I'm a little narcissistic, so that's why I have the Sir Kenneth hat on, but also it sort of serves two purposes for me. But for me, the main reason that I started getting the merchandise was to have something to sell.
Do you sell merch a lot just online, or is it mostly people who are at events and they're excited and they want a souvenir, or is it like just cold online?
Most of it is in person.
Yeah.
People had a good time. They want something tangible to take home, or they want to give you a tip, and this is a good way for them to give you a tip.
Totally. And as I'm,
What makes me a good promoter is that I'm like naturally a fangirl, and if I like what you're doing, like, I want to tell everyone about it. I want to wear the t-shirts. Stickers are great. I mean, stickers are a really nice thing takeaway, because like my water bottles are covered in stickers, over my house, and it's great for branding, great for putting it out. It's great. It's like, something like that is just like a giveaway at events, and someone's like, artists who have postcards, that they're like, oh, take a picture of my postcard, or that's just, that is like literally pieces of you going out into the world.
So I wanted to say that one of the things I've been saying for years, I'm not part of this panel. One of the things I've been saying for years is that your customers are your best evangelists. When somebody buys something from you, you want to keep a relationship with them. You want to send them a friggin' Christmas card. You want to contact them when you have new work. You want to become their friend. And if they buy something significant, like John, if somebody buys a lamp, you know, like send them a little something that they could put next to it, because someone's going to come to their house and go, tell me about this lamp. And you don't want them to go, oh, I don't remember the name of the guy. You know, you want them to actually have some cards to hand to people. So you want to keep your fans.
I usually just go with a lamp.
You just go with it and stay at people's houses.
In your pajamas?
pajamas. Yeah.
Also, you guys made a point earlier of saying your name is your brand. And my name is not my brand. I actually go by Lamb's Wing or Lamb WC. So I was just wondering about that. Are avatars also something that people can get into? Because I know that's actually really trendy right now. I have like a whole thing with that. It's like a lamb's wing with like wings on it and stuff. Like a lamb's head with wings and stuff like that. I didn't know if you had any.
Yes, because if that is the name that you are making your art under, then that is your name. So that, whereas like if Robin was looking you up as Lamb's Wing because that's what your artist's name is, then she will find you. But if you are going by Lamb's Wing and your handle online is like Blue Crab 59, then, you know, she's not gonna be able to find you. So it's the consistency so that is your name, that is how you're marketing yourself. I mean, if it's like a band name, that's not like an actual name, same type of thing. It's like you will look up that name. In like the burlesque and drag world, that everyone has a stage name, and the branding on that many of them use online is their stage name. So because that's what they know. I mean, there are many of those performers who I don't know their real name. You know, like, and, you know.
Well, this is a good because I know your name and I remembered your name, but I couldn't remember how to find you on Instagram. And when I Google you, I see Pinterest, but that's not you. I see LinkedIn. I see Facebook. I do see Facebook, but it's from the Mix Art Gallery. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't get to your Instagram because I wouldn't. So what about both?
So,
you know, like people just using both.
So in the case of your Instagram, is your name in the descriptor?
It is not.
You might consider that. So, because that also helps people when searching for you on Instagram to show you, so you can have your @ still. The other, like, as you like proliferate out and are expanding the number of places that you are, there's like, if it's worth it to you and you're finding that people are like Robin and are searching for your name and that's what you're giving out, you can also buy and merge domains. So you could buy your name as a domain and have it take people to Lamb's Wing. And like that's a yeah. So you might just purchase 2 domain names and just cycle them into each other. I don't have the breakdown of steps on that, but it's a thought. And then
you can Google it.
When you're talking to people about your work, making sure that you forefront the Lamb's Wing component as well.
Yeah. No, thank you for that. It's more so, do you find that it's more successful to have your face on it versus an avatar?
I think it's helpful to have my face on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. There you go.
I mean, yeah, I guess, unless you're like gorillas, then,
Yeah.
you know, because that is the.
Yeah, there was a question in the back.
Well, I was just commenting on that, you know, the bold line in Instagram, where it's bold?
It says, it's usually a category.
That's you can have it searchable and you can have like up to 30 characters there.
Oh, the bio paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, that would be where to have your name.
There you go.
So we had a comment, sorry, I keep forgetting about the camera on us talking about, so the question was, should the individual have an avatar as a persona online as representative of the art practice? And then we're talking about how to make them more findable.
Yeah, I think the idea of with the idea of authenticity and like really trying to make that connection and being yourself, I think that in 2024 we like to see you. We like to see the people more than like an avatar. But I think those things are good, like to tag different like pictures and things. So like they're fun and used, and people can identify those things sort of like a logo. But generally, I think our faces are.
People like to see people.
Yes.
questions? Otherwise, shall we devolve into a group of people who want to shake hands and say, hey?
Yeah, definitely stay. That was the advantage of live events, is you could just like talk to each other and hang out and have some cookies. And I want to thank our panelists, Mickey Quinn, Kenneth McLaurin, Anna Warburg, and the Community Arts Partnership of Tompkins County.
Yes.
Everyone will be on our mailing list. If you don't want to, let me know, because I'm just going to put all your names on it and you'll start to get our emails, if you don't already. How many people in this room have gotten a CAP grant? How many people are in this show? So this is her, Anna, this is her work.
Oh, I know, I'm familiar.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. Oh,
Goody.
sorry, this, yeah, the rest of the room too.
What's that?
This is Tia's work.
Tia's
Oh,
work. Just a shout out to that. So.
Oh, okay. Word. That's what's up.
That's what's up. Thank you guys. Hang out.
Thank you.
If anyone wants to help pile chairs in the back of the room, I appreciate it.
What are the campgrounds?
So cool. I went
So,
last year.
on our
like,
website, not in my car.
No, the last section, the last event.
No idea.
Oh, so we have four grants.
Yeah.
Three are doing January, one's doing February. The February one is for artist opportunities. It could be equipment. It could be, they're paying you to do a concert somewhere, but they're not paying for you to travel there. It could be hotel, it could be a recording. It's any career opportunity. I love that grant because it's about the artist. That is privately funded. I know we have that money for 2025. Who knows about 2026? A lot of musicians apply for and album costs, like a lot. And if you go to our website,
And you're saying that's something I can still.
you could totally, oh yeah, it's not due till February. Oh,
And is-